It's Wednesday night.
The New York Theater Barn
is live!
I see color for the first time. Finally, I can feel the sunshine. My heart's singing for the first time. Baby, is this love? I see color for the first time. Finally, I can feel the sunshine. My heart's singing for the first time. Is this love?
Good evening and welcome to New York Theater Barn's New Work Series Live. I'm Joe Barros and I'm the Artistic Director.
And I am Jen Sandler, and I'm the Associate Artistic Director. Tonight, we are excited to present excerpts from the new musicals Goodbye New York and Otherworld.
Goodbye New York, written by Andrew Beale, Evan McCormick, and Don David Miller, is the gripping musical that questions how we express love when time is not on our side. And Hunter Bell, Jeff Bowen, and Ann McNamee's Otherworld embraces the connections we make on and offline and celebrates the friendships we need to thrive in any world.
Yes, so welcome to the 46th installment of our award-winning virtual new work series. And this has been 15 months in the making to get to 46, so that is wild. And as always, tonight's show is being simulcast to Broadway On Demand, and we are grateful for our friends at Broadway On Demand and the partnership we continue to have.
That's right. And New York Theater Barn has continued to support artists during the pandemic by producing live stream performances for an audience of 26,000 plus viewers through YouTube and Broadway On Demand.
That's right. We have connected thousands of artists and audiences from all over the world, and our live virtual programming was recognized by NAMP's Innovation and Exploration Fund. 75% of the work supported by New York Theater Barn over the past 15 months have been written by artists from BIPOC and marginalized communities. How about that?
That's great. And our new work series gives writers space to speak in community about their original works and an opportunity to showcase material in development to a global audience. The series began in actual spaces, but since going virtual over the past year, we presented 94 original musicals created by 178 writers while making space for over 500 artists.
That number never gets old for us to say, and we're so happy to say it to all of you. So we've had an extraordinary year evolving the series and are eager to return to live in-person programming installments this fall. So our July 14th installment will be our 47th and final of our virtual new work series.
And for our final episode, producer extraordinaire and our co-board president, Blair Russell, will be joining Jen as the co-host. Standing in for me, I'll be on Hilton Head Island directing and choreographing a production of Crazy for You.
This is my last new work series with you, Joe.
I know, it's so crazy. I'm giving up new musicals for Gershwin. Who'd have thought?
How dare. So we'd like to thank you for watching and supporting us over the past 15 months, and we can't wait to be back in person and to continue to evolve our programming in that way too. So this is the end of this, but the beginning of so many other things.
Absolutely. Let's continue to make space for writers and creatives to talk about their work, because what we often find is sometimes the story behind the musical and how it was created and how it brought this team together is oftentimes just as interesting as the story they're telling.
Absolutely. And we never spoke to writers before the pandemic. It was always about the material. And we're definitely pledging to continue to speak to writers as we're back in person. And we're excited to bring all of that information to you when it's available.
That's right. And speaking of writers, now here to tell us more about how you can support New York Theater Barn is one of our favorite writers, Crystal Skillman.
Hi, I'm Crystal Skillman. I'm coming to you from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm the writer of musicals and audio drama and comic books sometimes. And I've worked with New York Theater Barn with my musical Postcard American Town with composer Lynn Schenkel in 2019, and also in 2020 the New Works virtual series with Bobby Cronin on our musical Mary and Max. Postcard American Town is about a woman's awakening to white privilege in a small town that has to choose its future. And Mary and Max is about an unusual friendship and the power of acceptance and healing when it comes to those we've lost. I've so enjoyed working with Jen, Joe, and the entire New York Theater Barn team, and I'm excited to keep doing so. I am so proud to be a part of a creative home that makes space for all artists and new groundbreaking musicals during incubation. Now for tonight. The New York Theater Barn family is excited about tonight's original culture-shifting musicals, Otherworld and Goodbye New York. New York Theater Barn is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and your gift tonight is tax deductible. Thank you for supporting live theater and the development of original musicals. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Crystal. We are so grateful for you and the storytelling eye that you bring to our company.
Yes, thanks, Crystal. Making a gift tonight is easy and fun. Tonight, you can quickly donate by text at any point during the presentation or even when it's over.
It's true. And this is our last broadcast together. So you could, it's like The Bachelor. It's like American Idol. You could vote for whoever you want. You could vote for Ruben, for Clay, or you could give us money. So the number to give is 631-710-NYTB. That is 631-710-6982 are the last 4 digits. And give now, give later, give however you would like.
Yeah, and don't forget to vote for Kelly Clarkson. Our recent New Work series featured the new musicals Bastard Jones and Perpetual Sunshine and the Ghost Girls. Here's a clip from our presentation of Mark Aceto and Amy Englehart's Bastard Jones. Take a look.
People kept recommending his book to me, and when enough people did, I said okay, and I read it. And I usually don't laugh at funny books, but I saw myself in the book because it's How I Paid for College, a novel of sex, friendship, and musical theater. It's set in New Jersey in the 1980s, and this kid, he wants to go to college and he can't, and he finds a way to pay for it. And it's also a coming out story, and there's characters in it who say things like I would say. Like, there's one character, a best friend, who says, "Lead us not into Penn Station." And I was like, I'm sure I've said that. I looked on the back cover and I saw that he went to Westfield High School, which is 2 towns away from me, but I'm not sure it's him. And it turns out we met for one day in high school and forgot about each other like forever. And the book brought us together. So I met him in Portland when the Bobs were playing in Portland in 2010. Neither of us at that point had written a full-length musical.
Wait, I suffocate. Here's why. Pulse drops, heart stops. I could die painfully and kill.
So Mark pitched Tom Jones to me, and I had not heard of it, and so I watched the movie, with the Oscar-winning movie, and the BBC series from the 90s. There's an accident with a carriage that the Squire is involved in, and Tom Jones, being having a heart of gold, rushes in to help. What can I do? While her son just stands there basically and looks down at the whole thing and insults people. And she's very taken and moved by this fact that, the person that everyone reviles is the person that saved the day. Nature will outrun, even if you nurture the perfect sun. The best laid plans come undone. In the beginning, Mark was drawn to this because we saw it as a gay marriage story, as why can't you love someone? Why are you not allowed to love someone because of how you were born?
love is the cue I'm waiting for. Order me up a plan more. Happiness is my baby. Happiness, yeah.
Just want to acknowledge the great Amy Englehart is on our chat tonight watching. So hi, Amy.
Hey, Amy, we're glad you're back.
Well, now is our second show from last week. Here is a clip from Sarah Cooper and Lynn Schenkel's Perpetual Sunshine and the Ghost Girls. Take a look.
For any pretty young woman to climb up several social notches is to get a job in the factory, painting faces onto watches with radium, radium, radium.
You threw me an email one day about having this idea for, for this crazy show, about the women who worked at the U.S. Radium Factory.
I had never heard the story. I just saw a clickbait thing for it on Facebook, and I was like, what is this? And I clicked through the rabbit hole. I vomited out this weird thing that is not very much like what we ended up with. But 3 weeks just like this crazy draft of something. And the day after I finished it, I was at a family gathering, and my Uncle Fred was like, what are you working on? And I was like, oh, and I told him sort of what it was about. And he's like, oh, that's so strange. Your great aunt worked in one of those factories. And I was writing it like I was possessed. It was Lynn will tell you, it was this crazy, it was very weird.
We envisioned it to be kind of a companion piece to Hot, in that it's also a one act. It's also performed by a completely female identifying cast. We took the first 15 minutes of the show and applied for the NAMT competition, and we were one of the first place winners.
The music of tomorrow is being written today. The music of tomorrow is almost ready to play.
Our main character's name is Marie, and right after the song that you just saw, she arrives at this factory in New Jersey in 1922, and she's ready to take on this job. She's just been hired. It's this really fancy job in real life, but also in our show, to be chosen to get poisoned by radium. So she has this goal to become the first woman manager of the factory, which has never happened before because it's 1922. So
No one else is gonna do it for us. No waiting for a man who'll leave us helpless and alone. We're changing the keys and writing songs of our own. For our mothers, for our daughters. We're made the music of tomorrow.
Oh my God, that song is magic.
The song is so great, and Lynn Schenkel is just so incredible, orchestrator of Broadway's Allegiance and the original Altar Boys, and I just got to work with her on a new piece written by Jodi Picoult and lead directed by Jeff Calhoun.
Did. And that song you just heard is about to be the theme song of our new podcast, The Musicals of Tomorrow, which we can't really talk about a lot now because we don't have time, but we'll tell you more soon. It's going to be similar to this new work series and will feature development of musicals. So we can't wait to tell you more about that soon. But now to tonight.
Let's get started. Our first show tonight is Goodbye New York, which has music by Andrew Beale, lyrics by Evan McCormick, and a book by David Don Miller. When Olivia Long sets out to indulge her final day in New York City, the last thing she expects is to run into Will Edmonds, the one that got away. To her shock, he thinks she's the one who got away, and he's been waiting 10 years to tell her. So she shares her day with him, showing him the New York she loves and all that he's been missing. But she's harboring a secret, one that will take her away from him forever. A second chance at love doesn't always come along, but if it does, do we take it? Even if it only lasts one day, is it worth it to pull someone closer only to say goodbye?
Yeah, well, now joining us to hear more about all of that from their homes are the co-writers of Goodbye New York. We have Andrew Beale, we have Evan McCormick, and we have David Don Miller. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Well, thanks for joining us. Well, let's get started. Andrew, your other musicals are Song of Solomon and Platinum Girls and have been seen on regional and international stages, and also have concept albums from Broadway Records, which is the parent company of our company, Theater Barn Records. You've also been in the pits for the Broadway productions of Aladdin, The Lion King, and the Heights Beetlejuice, and more. David, you are most known for your hard-hitting look at urban education, Why You Beasting, which was a sold-out hit and a Time Out New York Critics Pick at the 2013 New York International Fringe Festival. And your other plays include The Numbing, Baking Clickbait, and A Sad and Merry Madness. Evan, your work includes Song of Solomon with Andrew. And in 2020, you and Andrew were commissioned to write the signature song, This Is Your Show, for the renowned Compassion and Choices organization. You also co-created operapulse.com in 2009. So Andrew, David, and Evan, I just wanted to remind you what you've done because it's so exciting. And for people to know, and you've organized your bio so well, so thank you. Your show explores second chances and the fragility of life. In fact, it reminds me of one of my favorite lines from Tuck Everlasting when Angus Tuck tells Winnie Foster, "Don't be afraid of death, Winnie. Be afraid of being truly alive. You don't have to live forever. You just need to live." Mm-hmm. So what was the impetus for your collaboration and why this layered and untold story as a musical?
Well, I guess I'll field this one. Artistic director and mutual friend Marcus Potter told me I should meet Andrew because he said he was a great composer who had this really compelling idea for a musical. And I said, Marcus, have you read my plays? There's nothing but dialogue there and the occasional act of violence. You want me to write a musical? He said, well, you should really just meet Andrew and hear what he has to say. And I think it would make a good collaboration. And Andrew pitched me an idea where, I mean, you already said this, but at its core, a couple has only a day to express their love for one another. And the reason why is she's leaving and never coming back. And once we kind of go into this subject, we're kind of never coming back. So I'm not sure we want to divulge that right now. Not that we're protecting spoilers or anything, but Andrew had this article. I know we're going to get there sooner or later. But Andrew had this article from the Washington Post about a woman who left her beloved home in California to go protect her right to die with physician's aid in Oregon. And the upheaval it created in her life was a major focus for all kinds of different things that happened on some really important levels in our society. And I just thought it was such an interesting rock and a hard place for character and storytelling that I was all in from that first meeting with Andrew. And before I know it, we were writing together, bringing Evan in as lyricist because I'm strictly a dialogue guy. And then we started having readings, and through notes and revisions, and probably our best work, our deepest surgery was during the pandemic. And we're like so really stoked to emerge from that with you right now. This is kind of us sticking our heads out of the darkness right now. So thank you. Super excited.
Of course. And the idea of Death with Dignity, the story you're talking about is the story of Brittany Maynard. And I remember when that happened back in 2013 and how she moved from California to Oregon for the right to die because she had an incurable cancer. And it was a big story when it happened. There was other states at that time. I think it was only in 2 states. It's since been passed in New Jersey, which is my home state. So it's really topical. It's really interesting. And it does make a perfect subject for a musical. So tell us more, Evan and Andrew, why?
Well, thank you. I'll just take you off from from Brittany Maynard's story. That was the article. And I've been in touch with her husband, Dan Diaz. And in fact, I invited him tonight. And he's well aware of the show. It's not a show about. It's not a biography about her, but a layer of the show was inspired by that article I read for sure. And then we teamed up with Compassion and Choices to do a bunch of projects. So for sure that touched me in a way that I couldn't hold back any longer. And I said I had an idea for a one-day show where a couple is just running around the city having this fun day, and then at the very end of the show, second act, we sort of switched genres from fun and funny and light and romantic into the drama. So that's kind of what we do with the first and the second act. And by the end, you're just like holding on for dear life. You're in love with this couple. If we've done our job, you should be in love with this couple, and you don't want the show to end. And all of a sudden, boom, we hit you with some major drama. So, but yes, that was inspired by this Washington Post article, and we've just had a blast writing it and learning about it and sharing it with you guys.
Yeah, and I think the accounts of Dan Diaz and Brittany's mother, Deborah, there was some really beautiful literature and articles that came out that portrayed people going through an emotional response that I feel like I had never really seen on stage. So I think it was really easy, like David said, it was really easy when Andrew said, I think, we're thinking about you as a lyricist for this. It was really easy to just say, yeah, this would be great. This would be wonderful to try.
So tell us more about your development path. We know New York Rep is a big part of everything you've done.
Absolutely, yeah. New York Rep commissioned us to write it. They were the ones who got us started. They're the ones who waited for us patiently to finish the first act. And so sort of every time we finished a major thing, we would have a reading. That's just like my style. I'm like, we finished the first act. Let's get in my apartment. Let's do an apartment reading. And so we did that with a full Broadway cast. The cast is only 7, but we had 7 Broadway actors over. We paid them in pizza and wine, and we had a great first reading. And then we finished. Then we did a festival called the New York New Works series, New York New Works Festival, and then we did that festival in 2017, and then finished second act, and did another reading of the second act. We've done like probably 3 readings since then. And now we're basically ready for a workshop or a production for sure.
And Joe, I know you were at one of those last readings before the pandemic.
I was, and the piece is very exciting. It was a very different draft, and at the time I was just like, I don't even know why I'm getting so invested in these characters. And then the bomb was dropped, and I really was hooked, and that sent me into the intermission break, really wanting more. And one of those performers was Ariel Jacobs, who's performing in both numbers tonight. So why don't you tell us about tonight's first song, Platonic Tea?
Who wants to field that one?
Well, I mean, as they alluded to already, the first half really is a romantic comedy, and these two come together after 10 years of being apart, and this kind of second chance at love. They take full advantage of it, and they just take this wild ride through the city. So at the moment where they're really no longer able to deny admitting their attraction for one another, they burst into this song. You think that's a fair way of describing it, Evan?
Sure, absolutely. It's they can no longer describe through dialogue how they're feeling for each other, for sure.
Can I just say one sentence? They've just gone through a what we call and Ariel doesn't even know this yet because she hasn't sang the song yet, but a magic pedicab ride is what they've just gone through. A magic pedicab ride.
Magic pedicab ride.
I've never heard magic and pedicab ever in the same sentence. I don't think they normally end very well.
Well, with that said, I was going to say, with that said, why don't we spill the tea? This is Platonic Tea.
This is Ariel Jacobs, and this is Brad Stanley. Nice.
Okay, what kind of tea? Oh, a little finish what we started 10 years ago.
Just a little tea with a little me.
Oh, is that what we're calling it? Metaphorically.
Don't get dirty.
Sounds like inevitability.
It's only platonic tea.
It's only platonic me with possibility.
Maybe.
Really? Then let's grab a dab of opportunity.
We can grab a dab, it might have to happen, honey.
Ah, you're so damn sweet.
Jesus, get a load of this. Have to resist, but I miss this. How is it possible that he still is the only one who gets
How is it possible that that she made me forget my books.
How is it possible to fall so hard so fast in just 1 hour? And a decade. I could pour a little sensuality. I could take a risk and see if he actually wants to play dirty.
Hey, what do you got there?
I should stop this right now. Should do something.
Should I brew a pot of eternity so we can taste a little you and me? Call it goddamn destiny.
Honey, our tea ain't ready.
So we'll do a little firing up your stove.
Then we'll dump a bag of ice cubes in your pot.
You're so damn.
Hot damn, turn the stove to low. Where was this guy 10 years ago? How is it possible that he could make me feel so beautiful?
How is it possible that she just came back out of the blue?
How is it possible to fall right here, right now, in this moment? After so many moments. It could have been on any other day. We could have sipped 1,000 cups away, but it had to be this day.
There's too much to say, to see. Beneath the veils of curiosity, we gotta find a little clarity, a little remedy. Called platonic tea. Whoa, 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 no.
Catch. Come and get it.
Did you come here? Hey.
Over here.
So will it be? A little start where we left off when you left me in the dust 10 years ago,
Sweet platonic tea.
A little you and me.
A very strong possibility.
With a little bit of pain in our history.
This is just platonic tea between two friends who found each other after so many moments. We're here together to taste the moment forever. Here together.
I think the
Great.
beauty of that song too is like what you said. This, if you just heard this song in a concert by itself, you would have no idea how deep the show actually is, and I think that's what's really special.
Thank you. That's the idea.
Cool.
That's the idea.
Awesome. So the second song is called My Choice, and that's just sung by Ariel. Tell us a little bit about that.
Evan?
Shall I, gentlemen? Evan?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, we've already kind of gone over this ground, but the audience learns that she's sick by maybe minute 30, but Will doesn't learn it till the end of the first act. And by the time they get to that moment, they are really falling for each other. And when he learns the truth, it's an anvil dropping on him. And he pleads with her to reconsider. And soon they're arguing, and then they're fighting. And at the emotional peak of that fight, she withdraws from him completely and contemplates the choice that she's making, especially in light of the fact that there is this man here that she loves, pleading with her to reconsider. And so she's wrestling with that decision maybe one last time before she gets on that plane in the morning and really finally commits to this choice. And that's what she's working through here.
Yeah, and I think it's this wrestling with the social expectation and on the other side of the coin that she's wrestling with, and the fact that she is going to, she's decided that she really is going to leave, and now she's being interrupted by that, and it's a deep struggle for her.
So here is Ariel Jacobs again with My Choice.
How do you know when you know that there's no mistaking what comes next? What's waiting behind that door? How do you know when you know that there's no way of taking any other door or some other wave on the shore? How do you know? How do you feel when what's real is just a story? Masking the truth, playing the fairy tale some more. How do you feel when what's real is not for glory? Even when it's gone, you're convinced it carries on. How do I feel about what's around the corner? How do I feel that I'm going to die? What do they think? What does he think? What does God think? That it's my choice, and I've made up my mind, and I've made up Bright lights can blind you, and the ones that'll bind you are the ones that'll find you unprepared. White sheets around you, their stories surround you, their stains have found you not there. Moments that you cling on are precious, but bring on a kind of hope that I don't share. Just write a new beginning, for time is only thinning. Long or short, you'll be winning mid-air. I'm gonna be ready to show the world I won't let this define me. This time I decide what is right. I'm gonna be ready to tell my story. Get ready to listen. This is my moment in the sky. I know his intentions, expectations, though distractions are 'cause he loves me. These glimpses of hope. How could he know? How could he ever know how it feels when what's real is the pain? Pain all around you, within you, all the while. How it feels when what's real can't be changed. It can't be changed. You bet I'm fighting until the end. How could he know? How could they know? How do I feel? It's my
Wow.
What a thrilling performance of a really, really great song. And seeing this material reminds me, when I was seeing that reading, how seamless I thought all of the material was, and how really that's a testament to the fact that your collaboration is so nuanced, and that you can't see where one begins and where the other one ends and where the other one begins.
Thank you.
Ariel, I just wanted to shout out to Ariel. She really did an amazing song, amazing job with that song. And I mean, same Brad with Platonic Tea, just fabulous.
Absolutely.
And a shout out to JJ, Ariel's husband, for shooting that beautiful shot at sunset on the East River. we when they told us they were doing that, we were like, we're so lucky. We're very lucky to have that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, JJ.
So talking about luck, you have actually just started to figure out a concept album, and you're starting your funding today at Kickstarter for that. So you want to tell us a little more about the project and where we can find all the links?
I'm glad you asked. We just launched it 2 hours ago. We just launched the Kickstarter 2 hours ago. So we have 30 days to raise $33,000, and it's going to be game on. It's the same thing that I did 5 years ago to this month with Song of Solomon, the album. So we're back in the zone, and we're back in the raising money zone.
20 or more Broadway musicians in the studio before we open, so that'll be great.
And you can find the link to donate to their Kickstarter on the description of this video on YouTube and Facebook. And I'm also going to put up the Instagram of your show as well, which more information is as well. So we can't wait for this album.
We can't wait to record it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We can't wait to see more from Goodbye New York. So have a great night, and we'll chat with you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, Ariel Jacobs really is incredible. That was really special. We had her on earlier in one of our 46 episodes. I
think she's been on a few times. She's been on with one show. She's like maybe her third time, I think, actually. So she is someone who is championing new musicals right now, and we are really happy to have in our corner.
And now it's time to move on to our next show, something completely different, Otherworld.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Otherworld has music and lyrics by Jeff Bowen and Ann McNamee, and a book by Hunter Bell. Before we bring on this exciting team, here is a thrilling look at their show.
You are now here, but you are not alone. There are others out there, like you, who are also here in this world. Find them. Join together. Your journey begins now.
Otherworld, an original musical by Ann McNamee, Jeff Bowen, and Tony nominee Hunter Bell, tells the story of avid online gamer Shri and non-gamer Lorraine, who are unexpectedly transported into Shri's favorite game, Otherworld. With the aid of their fellow players, the unlikely duo must learn to work together to survive the game and find a way home. Featuring direction by Lucille Lortel, visionary director Adrian Campbell-Holt, Otherworld explores difficult questions of identity, family, and the connections we make on and offline in our cyber age. Watch as we bring Otherworld to life. With early concept collaboration by the 5-time Academy Award-winning Weta Workshop, puppetry designed by Addison Walsh, and choreographer Carla Puno Garcia, here Antigone's dragon transforms from concept to completion.
Now my mind is opening wide. I am ready to learn. I know it. I want much more in this life.
Join us on the adventure of a lifetime.
Wow. I want to go to that place.
I want to go there. Yeah. And we'd also like to note that Otherworld proudly features an inclusive cast and characters mirroring the gaming community and culture that we're also familiar with. Otherworld's messages of inclusion, banding together, and everyone having a voice are timely and intersectional, to say the least.
And ironically, that footage was from the first and only preview of this show ever. So thankfully, it was captured. And wow, what
and
an amazing...
It'll live on this fall.
That's right. And now joining us from their homes are the writers of the inventive and inspired new musical Otherworld, Ann McNamee, Hunter Bell, and Jeff Bowen. Hey!
Hi.
Everybody. Thank you all for joining us.
Thanks
and
for having us.
And you have Otherworld in your background right now.
True. I have some of the concept art behind me.
Awesome. Well, let's dive in. Ann, you are best known as a composer, singer, and key player for the bands Flying Other Brothers and Moon Alice, which are both led by your husband, the great Roger McNamee. For the Lilith Fair tour in 2010, you fronted the band Anatomic, and you retired from touring in 2012 in order to collaborate on musical theater projects full-time. You also co-wrote the musical Love Bites with voice teacher to the stars, Roger Love. And for 20 years, you were also a teacher, choral conductor, and music researcher at Swarthmore College. Jeff and Hunter, you are best known for co-writing the Obie Award-winning Broadway musical Title of Show. At least you chose a title for this show, so that's great. You both also starred in the show Playing Yourself, and this is one of my absolute favorite musicals, Jen as well. And I saw both the off-Broadway production at the Vineyard and the Broadway transfer with your incomparable secondary characters, Heidi Blickenstaff and Susan Blackwell. You also co-wrote Now Hear This, a companion piece to Title of Show that you created collaboratively with Michael Barres, Susan Blackwell, Heidi Blickenstaff, and Larry Pressgrove. And the show also premiered at the Vineyard. And you've also collaborated on other projects outside of that world. But Hunter, you earned an Obie Award and a Tony nomination for Best Book of a Musical for your work on Title of Show. And you've also written the books for Silence the Musical, Found, and The Great American Mousical, which I saw at Goodspeed, and more. So Anne, Jeff, and Hunter, how did you come to collaborate, and why a virtual quest through cyberspace?
Well, I think the story starts with me. I was working on a different musical, and I desperately needed a book writer. So I asked my mentor, Maury Yeston, if he could just send me some names, please, please, please. And he sent me a list, and at the very top of the list was Hunter Bell. And I have thanked Maury and Hunter every single day since for gifts. So that's the prefix, the preface. And then Hunter, how about if you take it with chapter 1?
Absolutely. Yeah, I met Anne and we started working and kind of show doctoring a piece that she had written. And I'm not the best show doctor because I respect and love, I know how much work means to an artist. And so I loved Anne's voice. I loved her talent. I loved her. And I said, want to do something new? And so we began to kind of ideate, and we landed on this gaming world, the world of gaming. And Anne's based on the West Coast, kind of Silicon Valley area. And I think that energy was around. And it's kind of a world I hadn't seen in a big Broadway stage space. And I think it's so right for creation, imagination, and connecting audiences. There's a lot of intersection of folks who game and folks who love musicals and folks who love musicals and folks who love game. Once we landed on the gaming aspect of the show as a backdrop, I knew a gamer named Jeff Bowen, who I had watched play games many, many hours as we make other things. And I throw the baton to you, Jeff, because he's truly our expert gamer. I'm a little bit of a backseat gamer. I game some, but Jeff is pretty hardcore. And when we landed on this, we brought him into the fold too to complete the trio.
Yeah, right about the time I came on to this project, I was avid gamer and was excited to work on a musical about games and excited to just work on anything new. And right around the same time I came on the project, this sort of is also what spawned the story of the musical. A video game I was playing online at the time was a video game, an MMO called City of Heroes, which is a game where you create your own superhero basically, and you run around a giant, city and you fight bad guys and bad girls. And it was really I didn't know this at the time, but it was an amazing expression of creativity because you create your avatar and it starts this whole world of communication where you have this whole online, communication and chat, and you're chatting to them, and out of nowhere, the company that ran the game decided to shut it down, and it came out of the blue. Like there was no warning at all, and it wasn't as matter of fact as I think we thought it would be, because it was quite emotionally devastating to have this thing that you spend a lot of time, and again, like the connections you make, and you schedule like tonight at 8:30 we're going to do this mission, it's going to be amazing, and we're going to be there, right? And you're doing all this through chat, and I don't know these people because they're all over the planet. And that story of that experience of investing creativity and investing time to a game kind of became the foundation of this musical we were working on, and it became what it is based on that adventure of gaming.
I'll add too, Jeff said something interesting. I watched him play, and like he said, I connected with this community, and it inspired. I watched, it's like, who are you talking to? Who are you chatting with? It was folks he'd never met, but had played with for years. And you find that in this community of virtual connections and what that means to folks. And this year is certainly an example of that, of how we've, not just gamers, but we've depended on the virtual connections and exploring not just your biological family, but chosen family, and how you find guilds and teams and like-minded, passionate folks who love the games and the cosplay that you love. So kind of watching Jeff in the chat inspire not just the loss of the game, but the exploration of how community is built and how passionate, creative, like-minded folks. I think a lot of folks have ideas about what a gamer is. And there certainly are tropes of that. It's someone in a basement, and doesn't come up for air, and that exists, but it's all of us. And even folks that might not identify as a game, I bet if I grabbed your phone right now, you've got a game on your phone. So how we identify as gamers. So yes, while gaming is the backdrop, the inspiration came about connection, family, loss, love, and chosen family and biological family too.
Absolutely. And I think it's being a part of a team, just the same way someone is a part of a sports team. You're all in the same thing together and trying to make the same thing happen.
And speaking of teams,
nice seg.
We have your amazing director, Adrian Campbell Holt, with us tonight to tell us more about the journey and about your development. Hey there.
Hey.
Hi, Adrian.
It's great to be here. So I was very fortunate to be recommended, I think, to this project by my good friend Celia Keenan-Bulger. And when I interviewed 2.5 years ago, I thought, this is a giant musical. I have not yet directed a musical of this scale. They would be kind of taking a big risk on me. And from our first conversation, it felt like really just simpatico, and I think our vision and our interests, not only as artists but as humans, really aligned. And so this piece is so close to my heart, and I really think of these collaborators as family. And this past year, obviously, what you saw that footage from happened March 13th, 2020, and it's been a hard time to not get to be in person and in a theater, but we've really use the time. We have weekly meetings, if not more. We call it OW5, which is this foursome plus our choreographer, Carla Pino Garcia. And we are constantly just, continuing to refine and dig into both the script and the score, but also bringing the designers in, because as you've seen, it's really creating a new world. And so that process has been, I think, when we come back, we'll be even like leaps and bounds beyond where we paused last March.
Absolutely. And, this is a show that isn't based on anything. And I think it's so rare, and to take it, and it's this video world that we know nothing about. It's just so exciting and interesting.
Yeah, I'm proud. I'm always a fan of an original musical, as the title of the show says. But I think it's exciting because you do have this playground. It's exciting for us as writers. It's exciting for Adrian as the director, and Carla and our designers to world build. And we have exciting collaborators in world building as well.
So tell us more about your development path. You have this production that has been postponed at Bucks County that we're finally going to see in the fall, but how did you get to there?
Well, we had a series of reading after workshop after lab, and then Robin Goodman came and Alex Fraser came to a reading, right? And fell in love with the show. We're so blessed that they are building this with us and helping us through the development. So yes, we're very excited about doing that in the fall, and then in the spring at Delaware Theater Company. We're just so lucky, two great places.
Yeah, I have a lot of gratitude about someone believing in original work. It's gratitude for you guys giving us this platform too, because it's easier in this business, I think, sometimes to sell something based on something. It's why we see so many movie musicals and why we see biopics. And no shade against those. I love those shows and I love adaptations, but there's some heavy lifting, not just in the creation of an original piece, which is exciting to us, but in getting word out to get an audience to come embrace us and see. But I think that audience is there, and I am grateful to be back at Bucks County. Yeah.
Well, working with Bucks County and Asian Wood, I mean, you're in good hands, and those are really smart people who support original work very well.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, we have a little clip of a taste of the movement of your show by your incredible choreographer, Carla. So let's take a look at that.
Hi, my name is Carla Puno Garcia, and I'm the choreographer of Otherworld.
So these are characters in the video game in our show called Ravine Marauders. They are mob spawn. They are one of the first threats that our heroes encounter. And we're going to be demonstrating these characters as really beautiful bodies that take shape and kind of have a mitosis aspect about them. As you can see, these are two of our cast members, Jenna and Randy. And they want to feel like they are one, and then they become two, and they multiply. So here we're playing and exploring with movement within that prompt. Very athletic, smooth, grounded, fluid, of the earth. We really wanted to explore an organic feel for these bits. Here we have our Corborak. So Corborak are minions of the villain Antagon, and they want to feel a bit uniform, a bit robotic, and just trained to terminate. Here again we have our mob spawn, Ravine Marauder, and we're actually playing with a prototype that Costumes so generously created for us to explore with, of an arm extension that will be used by these characters. So it's fun to incorporate that in our elements, incorporate all the elements into our exploration.
Wow. So how did Carla become a part of this project? I think her movements are so exciting and so different, and they lend to the story so well.
I actually was introduced to Carla by a classmate of hers in Hamilton, Elizabeth Judd. And when I was meeting with choreographers, we met with a few choreographers, and you know, they spec'd some work. Carla just immediately felt like both like the vision that she brought was aligned, but then also like she was going to be a really open collaborator and really flexible, and obviously in a piece it's so in development and where the world building you know may require so many different styles of movement, and you know, it's really exciting to us that our cast is you know, we are trying to represent the gaming community, and 1/5 of the gaming community is disabled, and you know, work with all bodies and all types of movement experience and access ability. So, you know, she was thrilled and energized by that, and that felt like, okay, this is somebody that would be the right choreographer for this show.
Wow. Well, we have one more sort of snapshot at the blueprint of your show tonight, and we'd love for you to set that up. So tell us a little bit about That's Why We Play.
Oh, Jeff, this is you.
Yeah, so this sort of circles back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of the game shutting down and letting the emotions that kind of came with the loss of this game. And this character who's singing the song is Shri, who has subsequently been sucked into the video game because of some high-tech stuff. And later in the second half of the show, he kind of is coming to the realization that this thing he created, this avatar, all of these characters that have been created by all of these players, doesn't go away, and sort of it was us as the writers kind of professing this meta aspect that any art you create lives on forever. And so this is what the song is about, basically, the immortality and the never-ending, interminable world of art.
And who is performing for us tonight?
This is Michael Maliaco is singing as Shri, and Jeffrey Coe, our musical director, is on, as Hunter would say, Lady 88s.
He was my music director on Broadway Bounty Hunter. He is the best.
He's great.
So here is That's Why We Play.
So small and understated, so graceful and strong, it helped me see who I could be. Shrike is more than a hero, she's a part of me, and here she stands in this endless view. She's just one of a million dreams come true. See the glory in all its design, each with its own wonderful storyline. Look around you and see what's begun by the King in everyone. When we break through our barricades, there's no end to the accolades we can achieve. If we could, we would stay for good in this beautiful neighborhood of make-believe. That's why I play. That's why I play. None of this will truly disappear. Creativity will always persevere. Allow imagination to run wild inside child after child. Each sword and spike and weathered wing, love is built in everything. There's so much your mind can reveal. A flashlight is a laser beam, stuffed animals, a galactic team. In your heart, it's real. That's why you play. That's why you play. That's why you play. When we're scared to look inside, fighting temptation to hide, find the pride in our badges and our scars. Many battles are fought and won, but the mission is never done. So we keep flying and soaring and fighting together with powers beyond the stars. That's why we play. That's why we play. Less alone today, more alive today. That's why we play.
I think everyone in the chat is saying it's a gamer anthem. We agree.
Michael is really terrific.
Yeah, it's a shame he can't really sing that well.
No.
He's very special. And I also saw Ryan Nixon in that video, and I wanted to make sure I said this backstage, but I wanted to say it here. Heather McRae is a part of this piece, and for anybody out there who doesn't know who that is, Heather was in the original production of Hair. She's the original Dr. Charlotte in the off-Broadway Falsetto Land. and the extraordinary two-part falsettos on Broadway, and is a part of showbiz lineage. Her father, Gordon McCrae, was Curly in Oklahoma. So tell us a little bit about Heather's involvement in the show. I'd love to know more about that.
Well, Heather plays a professor emerita, and she's still teaching some courses, though, and in computer science. Old school, has psychedelic posters on her wall, and she's just gorgeous. I love Heather.
When we were casting Paul Hart, our casting director, when the breakdown came out for Myra, the character she plays, Paul was like, "Are you going to see Heather McCrae for this? Because this is her." And we're like, "Oh yeah, that's like an amazing idea." And she said yes. And we're like, "Great."
It's those magic moments when someone walks in the room, and as a creator and a writer, they just embody it. They just are it. And also as a fanboy too, the history, the lineage, and the talent that she commands and brings into room is remarkable. I also say what's so exciting too about Heather in this piece is painting a portrait of gamers of all ages and all types too. To say a gamer is only this in this age range is not true. There are gamers all shapes, sizes, ages, abilities, disabilities. And so she's an important part of representing that too, of pushing against tropes or ideas that people stop gaming or technology is not for someone of a certain age. So it's really an important kind of statement too. And she's got an incredible voice, and she's a phenomenal actress. It's an honor to work with her.
Absolutely. So I think this show has become more topical than ever over the last 15 months. It's safe to say, and I think it was exciting when you were going to do it last March, and it's even more exciting now as we begin to rejoin this real world. Why should the art of virtual connection still be important right now? It's a tough one.
I mean, if we learned anything from last year, it was really, even this format we're on right now with StreamYard and Zoom, and we had this technology to keep people connected and keep people creating, keep conversations happening, and some, as we remember from last year, some very serious social conversations and personal conversations were taking place online. And as much as you may have wanted to poo-poo it prior to last year, we had no choice but to embrace it and become empowered by it. And so while we're true proponents of, yes, absolutely go on a real walk outside in the world, we can't deny that technology is keeping people connected in a new way, a different way, and in some cases a very good way, positive way.
I would add to that too, not just connection with technology, but creations of communities. And certainly we've been able to use this time and hopefully open our hearts and minds in the work. And when we jump back into rehearsal in the piece, social justice initiatives, we're able to create communities through technology in ways we've never seen. And hopefully that will be reflected in the show, just in its overall themes. Like Jeff said, not dismissing how we connect, because for so long, it was the only means of us connecting with loved ones and family, and people being born and losing people, saying FaceTiming someone for a loss. So the power of this technology, what it means, how we use it responsibly, how it connects us. Hopefully our show is a lighthouse and a beacon of how we use for the powers of good, and how we kind of come together, and how we can connect and find love and build communities. Yeah.
It's almost like the game reminds us of the indelible power of home, but also is sort of a symbol of the world that we wish we lived in. It's like we're creating our own game, and maybe one day our world will feel more like the game we create than the world we were born into or haunted by.
And the family we meet online, we hope will be more like our family that is outside of the game.
So beautifully said. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, thank you all so much, Anne, Hunter, Jeff, and Adrian. We can't wait to see more from Otherworld and its upcoming productions.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I also wanted to note that Heather McRae was in a production that we produced at 59 East 59th Street Theaters called I Married Wyatt Earp, about the Jewish wife of Wyatt Earp and the women of the American West, written by Sheila Ray, Tom West, and Michelle Browerman.
And my mother wants to tell everyone that Heather McRae also has a very famous mother named Sheila McRae.
She totally does, and she's
Just
part of
texted
that.
me.
And if you can hear Heather McRae sing Easy to Be Hard, there's a version from the original production on YouTube, as well as a performance that she did on the soap opera. And it's really incredible.
It's like One Life to Live or something. You showed me recently, and it was great. Well, that is our show for tonight. The new work series will be back for our final virtual installment in 3 weeks, a little longer of a break due to the July 4th holiday coming. We will be back on Wednesday, July 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the new musicals Fly More Than You Fall and In Emily's Words.
Fly More Than You Fall is written by Eric Holmes and Nat Zagree, and In Emily's Words is written by Jesse Tomsko. And again, my understudy, Blair Russell, will be performing in my place.
Excited about Blair, but I'm going to miss you.
That's right. Well, it takes an incredible amount of work to make tonight's show happen and the other 45 presentations. And in order to continue to lift up artists and original musicals, we really need your help. So please join our generous donors by making your gift today on our website at nytheaterbarn.org/give. And as we said, you can also donate quickly by text at 631-710-NYTB. That's 631-710-6982. Again, I'd recommend Kelly Clarkson over
I'd
Ruby
probably
Sutton.
go for Justin Guarini. I'm sorry.
Or Carolee Carmelo. I'm just throwing in a musical theater star. Anyway, those details also follow below in the video description.
Again, that link is nytheaterbarn.org/give or 631-710-NYTB. That is 631-710. Those last 4 digits are 6982. As always, thank you for tuning in tonight, and thank you for supporting live theater.
And thank you, Jen, for coming up with this crazy idea of keeping theater alive during a time that felt impossible. So thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
And we'll see you soon.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi, my name is Maria Torres, and I had the pleasure of working with the New York Theater Barn on their choreography lab. I actually got a chance to mentor one of the emerging choreographers, and it was great for me to get to know their theater company. And what I most enjoyed about them was the fact that they were able to do that with new works. And so they're really good about development and incubation. I urge you to donate and support them because they're a great theater company, and I expect to be able to see more from them soon. So congratulations to your Theater Barn on what you do, and don't forget, people, donate to them.